Imad. Now, let us turn on instead to OS Business. The tax bills, let's begin with. The biggest online companies under scrutiny in many countries. But France are actually a step closer to perhaps becoming the first country to make them pay more. Here is a tweet from Robert Sleds. He's an international tax editor for Reuters. He tweeted, French lawmakers approve 3% tax on online giants. Now that will still need backing from the upper house in France, though the issue is also being discussed here in the UK. Take a quote from this man, the front runner to be the next Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. He said, we've got to find a way of taxing the internet giants on their income because at the moment it is simply unfair. Well, our business reporter is Jonathan Josephs. Let's hear a little bit more. Was this expected, Jonathan?
Absolutely, Nuala. In France, what we've seen today is the lower house of Parliament backing this plan to impose a 3% tax on some of the revenues that these big companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook and Apple make. Now, this would apply to companies that have global incomes of 750 million euros or more. That's about $850 million, and 25 million euros of that would have to be in France for it to apply. So there's about 30 companies that would be affected. Now, the reason France are doing this is because, as in many other countries, there is this perception, as Boris Johnson alluded to, that the system just isn't fair. These digital companies don't have to pay as much tax as traditional businesses that have stores, etc. It still needs to be approved by the upper house, but that should happen next week.
So that is expected to go through, and then perhaps other countries will follow suit, briefly?
Well, this has been a very divisive issue. There are divisions between the European Union and the United States, or European countries, I should say, and also divisions within Europe. Earlier this year, France was one of the companies trying to get the European Union to introduce a similar measure, but there wasn't enough agreement within the member countries, so it didn't happen. So the OECD group of leading economies is also trying to work on something. The UK budget back in October said that such a plan would come into force. Boris Johnson clearly is saying tonight that if he becomes Prime Minister, it's something he wants to look at. So there's plenty at stake here.
Jonathan Joseph, thank you so much. Really interesting. It comes up, doesn't it, again and again, how much should those online companies be paying? Right, let us continue with some more stories from OS Business. Until a few months ago, India was the world's fastest growing economy.